How you doing, guys? I wanted to show you a cool little hack I learned in Asia. So this is my Panasonic Lumix GX1. I tested it and I loved it. You can see it's got gunk and grime on it right now. I do not baby it. I take it with me very frequently because it's so small and pocketable. But that's the key word, is pocketable. These small cameras are never really truly pocketable. The only camera we can say is truly pocketable would be something like an iPhone or any cell phone, really. But even then, they're getting so big that depending on how tight your pants are or how small your pockets are, it might not be comfortably pocketable. So with any camera, there's always a little bit of a trade-off. We say pocketable, but it's typically a little too big to go in a pocket. Typically, we mean, okay, well, it can go in a cargo pocket or it can go in a jacket pocket. One thing I learned here in Asia, by complete accident really, was that you can buy these small bags. Now, this isn't the trick. Hold on for a moment. Buying a small bag for a camera isn't really a trick. But what I picked up is that these bags, you can buy them here locally, this style, these kind of military style little sling bags. You can buy these all over the place here for anywhere between $5 and $10 US. It's very common. Basically, everybody here is going to have some sort of sling bag. What is not so expected, though, is that most people don't carry these special purpose, kind of purpose-built sling bags. What most people have is actually a fanny pack. So I have this Carhartt fanny pack right here, and this is now the one that I carry with me every day, everywhere I go. Now, what you're thinking is probably gross, fanny pack, no way. The 80s are gone, right? And that's kind of how I always was. I never understood the fashion behind a fanny pack, and I couldn't believe that they were still being made and sold, because anytime you catch somebody wearing a fanny pack, people laugh. They say that it looks ridiculous. It's goofy. Why would you do that? Yada, yada, yada. But most people here in Asia, whether it's here in Taiwan, when I've gone to Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, any of these places, it's very, very common that almost everybody has a fanny pack. The difference is that they don't wear it around their hips like you'd see in the American 80s fashion. They just throw it over one arm or across their body just like a sling bag. So even though it's a fanny pack, they use it as a sling bag most often. And when I finally embraced that and didn't worry about the fashion sense and put it across my body, I noticed that, for one, having this across your body, it doesn't draw the attention of fanny pack. It just looks like any other small bag across your body. The other thing is that there's something unique about a fanny pack that you don't quite understand until you've tried it yourself, but it's such a minimalist bag. There's so little material, and it has such a small footprint, and it's not full of 10 different pockets and 13 different layers and paddings and zippers and buttons and all this stuff. It's a very simple design, very small, very minimal fabric. And what that result is that when it's empty, you can pack these things up and put it in one of your pockets. Actually, this would fit in a cargo pocket. And this is actually one that's thicker than usual. But it also weighs almost nothing. Even when you have it loaded up with stuff, this can be stuffed to the brim, but the amount of stuff you have in there isn't that heavy. So especially if you have this across your body like a sling bag, you almost don't notice the weight. You can carry it all day long, and you never have this strap cutting into your body. You don't have it weighing you down. You don't develop sweat spots. It's so easy to take off and to throw back on, to pick up, to set in the passenger seat, to throw off the handlebars of a bike if you're riding a bicycle like a city bike. I can toss it on my motorcycle, no problem. I can throw it under the seat of a scooter. This bag is such a convenient bag to use. And oh, look at that. 1 NT coin that just dropped out of there. But I started using this for small cameras. I thought, this isn't really pocketable, but I don't want to have it actually on my wrist all day long. I want to be able to take a break, and I also don't want to have a big bulky neck strap or shoulder strap attached to such a little bitty camera. That looks ridiculous, it feels ridiculous, and it adds too much bulk to the camera itself. And that's when I realized, well, I can just take this little bag and this little camera and slide it right in. No problem. As a matter of fact, there's so much extra room left over that I can throw in extra batteries. I can actually throw in all of my Micro Four Thirds lenses. Everything fits in this bag. It's not crowded. It's not cramped. It's not heavy. It's no problem. But here's the thing. This is basically like a really big pocket, and it kind of evens the playing field. This combination right here, my Lumix GX1 with a 20mm f1.7, this gives you a full frame equivalent of a 40mm f3.4. If I use something like this right here, which is my Canon 40mm f2.8, this actually has a brighter aperture than this lens right here, and it has the same full frame 40mm equivalent. This is a full frame 40mm lens. This is a Micro Four Thirds 20, which gives you a 40mm equivalent. And the f1.7 on here gives you the same aperture opening in millimeters as an f3.4 on a full frame. So this being a 2.8 is actually brighter. So I not only have the advantage of a larger sensor in my camera, and typically better physical ergonomic controls because I have a full-size DSLR, but I even have a faster aperture. I have my Lumix GX1 with its 20 f1.7, and I could grab my 5D Classic. Now this is typically what I like to take out when there's plenty of light and I don't have to worry about fussing with stuff. If it's going to be low light, or if I need to use live view for some reason, I might grab my 6D instead, which also has the advantage of being slightly smaller. But the 5D is super fun to shoot. It has a very unique picture style to it. I love using this camera for a lot of reasons. One of those reasons being that it just feels nice to use. So if I want to use this, which I very often do, I can take my 40mm here, and it almost looks comical how small this lens is on this camera. But now I have a real full frame 40mm f2.8, which gives me the advantage over this camera. Because even though it's a lot bigger, the camera is taller, it's fatter, it's heavier. The advantage I have is that this has better battery life than this one does. This one has a larger sensor than this one does. This one has a faster aperture than this one does. And this one gives me a nice optical viewfinder, which I prefer, whereas this, everything has to be live view. This package is not very compact, really. It's also not overly big. Because of this, this can now fit in a supposed pocket, like my fanny pack here. I very often will take my 5D Classic and slide it into my little fanny pack here, and that fits perfect. I'm not stretching the edges, I'm not stuffing it in, I'm not having to force the zipper shut. It fits in with lots of room left over. And not only that, but I can take as many spare batteries as I want and throw them in there. So whether it's a full frame DSLR that can easily fit in here, I can pull it in and out. Again, this slung over my shoulder, I can have it on my back out of the way, and then I can throw it around to my hip and pull this straight out, take a photo, throw it back in, no problem. I can take it off my shoulder, toss it onto a car seat, I can set it on the table. This makes it so easy to just pick up and carry all of the camera gear I have with me for the day, and then again, throw it under a seat, put it on a table, throw it over my shoulder, set it down, hang it off of a tree branch, quite literally is something I've done. This simple little bag, something as unassuming and what we think of as comical as a fanny pack, actually becomes like this amazing hack for photography. I can fit a full frame DSLR, even more so if it's a smaller full frame like the 6D, along with a full frame lens, potentially more than one lens depending on what I have, multiple spare batteries. I can even throw in this little pack of lens wipes. I can toss that in there. I can toss in my notebook. Sometimes I'll put in there for notes. I can, again, something I also do is I'll have my camera in here, like my Canon 40D, and then here in the front pouch, I'll put my phone and a juice pack for my phone. So in case I'm suddenly having to edit on the go and my battery starts running low since I have an iPhone mini, I have my juice pack in there. So I'll have a juice pack, my phone, I have some full frame camera, full frame lens, multiple extra batteries, some lens wipes, my caps if I need those, and potentially something else. There's always something else, but even if it's sometimes an extra camera tossed in next to the first one, and it all fits in this very small, unassuming bag that is easy to take on, put on, take off, again, hang it anywhere, put it anywhere. And even when it's absolutely full to the brim, it's not heavy. It's not cumbersome. This makes everything so much easier. And it's not a camera bag. I don't have to pay a lot for this. I paid $10 for this bag, and I have other generic, not name brand fanny packs in different colors that I paid $3 for. So this is a simple non-photography bag that I have actually learned is way better for photography. This is better for photography and more useful and more practical for everyday real world scenarios. My firsthand experience has been this is so much better than any of these fancy overpriced photography bags. Again, it's not great for every purpose. If you are a wedding photographer and for some reason you need to carry 3 different cameras, 5 different cameras, and your entire lens collection with you on your back, of course, this isn't going to work. But if you're one of these people who just wants to, you want the advantage of being able to take your camera with you everywhere you go. You wish that you could just have your camera every time you leave the house. I never leave my house without a camera, but you don't want to have a camera out in the open, openly in public, swinging off your shoulder. You don't want to have it in your hand the whole time. And you don't want to have the compromise of saying, okay, I'm going to buy one of these enormous shoulder bags or these huge backpacks and spend a lot of money, and it's bulky and it's hard to get to, and it's never as convenient as they say it's supposed to be. Get a fanny pack. Unbelievably convenient. Again, a lot of the time, thanks to this, I have this on me. I'll have my camera here, full frame DSLR, here in the main pouch. Next to the camera, I could even throw my smaller camera if I want to. I can throw extra batteries, lens caps, lens tissues, my phone, juice pack, or even my wallet in here. I can essentially have empty pockets. Everything I need to carry is in this little bag. It's light, it's convenient, it's easy, and it's one of the greatest things I learned from just being in Asia. Don't laugh. Don't knock it till you try it. As simple as this sounds, and as much as you think it's not going to be a game changer, I promise you're going to love it. Give it a try. These aren't expensive, especially since they're not fashionable. You can usually pick these up cheap, and it's going to change the way that you look at your cameras, your camera gear, and what it is that you can actually keep on you all the time, 24/7. Anyway, hope this helped, and until next time, I will talk to you later. Bye.